Hello and welcome to Startup Daily. Today we have Nicole Kersh in the studio and we're going to be chatting all about authenticity in business. Nicole, thank you so much for coming in and being a bit of a guinea pig for this new style of entrepreneurial conversations we're going to be having on Startup Daily.
Thanks for having me. And if I leave with a nervous twitch, we know that today didn't go so well.
We'll know that I fucked it up well and truly and we shouldn't go along with this format.
Hopefully not.
I want to start off by talking about Phil. Phil's pretty famous in the world of 4cabling.com, which you founded. Tell us about Phil.
Well, Phil was my alter ego.
Yeah.
He was essentially my confidence. I was 21 at the time, and being a 21-year-old girl in a manufacturing world does not work so well.
Yeah.
Especially when you're catering to a 50-plus demographic.
Wow.
So I thought, all right, if I was, say, 55, middle-aged and an engineer, my name would be Phil, and I would sign my emails just Phil. There would be no pleasantries, there'd be no regards, thanks sincerely. And that's what happened. And from there, Phil became our first unofficial staff member.
Yeah.
He was my imaginary friend, and he came with me for the ride.
And so, I mean, there's a lot of rhetoric out there in the startup
Yeah.
scene about faking it till you make it. Do you subscribe to that? Do you think it's good, or do you think that it can be somewhat damaging?
Well, I think it needs to be, faking it till you're making it as a concept needs to be separated in, personally, to fake it, I don't agree with.
Yeah.
But commercially, as an entrepreneur, I sort of think that when you do fake it, you commit to the unknown.
Yeah.
And in the unknown is where the risk is. And
Yeah.
that's where innovation and inspiration happens. So in that regard, I think, yes, do fake it till you make it. Because, you can have an excellent idea. You can have, a concept that will be proven and will go places. But if you don't have the confidence, you can fake that.
I mean, I think we have to also have limitations on that as well. Like back in the days before the ACCC started reprimanding people for fake
Definitely.
testimonials and
For
and that
sure.
type of thing, that's misleading and deceptive.
Yeah.
Do you think that Phil was a deceptive thing?
Yes and no. It was deceptive, but I felt as though I had no choice. The industry is ageist and it is sexist. And as much as I would have liked to have said, hey, you know what, I am 21 and my concept is incredible and it will revolutionize an industry.
Yeah.
And if you don't like it, well, fuck you. But that would not have gotten me far or to the position that I was in. But I don't think that it was inauthentic in a way that, I didn't have a choice and it didn't detract from what I had to offer.
Yeah.
So it's not as if I was going out and saying this sham wow will change your life and restore your hair and make you a whole
But
different
ShamWows
person.
do that, don't they?
I must have bought the wrong one. I wasn't selling anything misleading. I had to learn to pick my target market.
Yeah.
I had to sort of talk the talk.
Did Phil in any way damage your confidence more?
Yes, it did actually. And in retrospect, I do wish that I did have the confidence to authentically live behind my idea.
Yeah.
Because what it actually did in future was detract from the achievement as well.
Yeah.
Because, I think faking it till you make it it's a double-edged sword.
Yeah.
And if you went to pitch to VC for, your like revolutionary idea and you didn't have that much like evident or visual confidence in your ability,
Yeah.
you wouldn't get very far.
True.
So
Very
in that
true.
way, you sort of have to just embody a bit of a character and eventually it'll become like a bit of a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yeah.
And it is practice. So in that way, I'm all for it. But I do think that the line between deception and confidence needs to be clear.
Yeah.
So I don't think you can go out and say, hey, yes to everything without actually being able to back that up. And that's where the danger lies.
Do you think that when you have that personal authenticness and business authenticness, do you think that a lot of people blur the two? Like they cross a line where it becomes they're just not really who they are?
Yes, I do. I think people can get pigeonholed into being something that they're not. I think people can get typecast into being, an entrepreneur or this sort of person or someone that, isn't entirely who they are. And that's a hard thing to break. From my personal experience, I got sort of typecast as this young girl in a manufacturing world, and that
you still do probably.
Yeah.
Like I mean, if I'm perfectly honest, you'll probably have that reputation for a while yet until you do your next thing or
bust
whatever.
out of it.
Yeah. Is that a hard process?
Well, it is, because you essentially need to break that stereotype.
Yeah.
And it's hard because you live that for so long.
Yeah.
When it's not actually who you are. At the core of that, it wouldn't have mattered. At the core of that, you're an entrepreneur, or at the core of that, you're a person.
Yeah.
And then you're forever that. Like if you suddenly became Mat startup and you could not break that forever, you were just forever that person. But authentically in your heart, you were interested in business as a whole. It's hard to break that.
Do you, were there any times where during your business journey, because it was a 10-year business journey, it was a very long startup journey for yourself. Were there any times, and we will go a bit personal here, where you kind of thought, oh God, I'm not being authentically Nicole?
All the time. It's sort of being a woman is hard in that environment.
Yeah.
You need to hide behind stereotypes.
Yeah.
Because people just don't take you seriously.
Yeah.
I would wear a fake wedding ring and go to these events where you'd sit at a table and people would just assume that you were either there as someone's wife.
Yeah.
And would completely discount the fact that you could be there on your own merit.
Yeah.
And then the fact that I would have been typecast as a woman in manufacturing, even that wasn't enough for them to take me seriously.
Yeah.
And it's hard because...
The wedding ring thing. That's like a huge... I mean, obviously you weren't married or that kind of thing. So, like, how did that affect you, I guess?
Well, I sort of felt as though I had this completely secret life. When people would say to me, oh, what does your husband do? Yeah. And, I'd sort of look at them and think, well, that's so presumptive, and actually I don't have one, you know? And no one would ever sort of think that was a presumption. And then, sort of ending that sentence with, well, she... That was just mind-blowing, and you could literally see people just unable to comprehend that could even exist. Yeah. And then comes the apology where it's, oh, I'm so sorry, and it's hard to live that double life, So for the 9 of those 10 years, I did have an imaginary persona called Phil, and then I had an imaginary husband, and you just get to a point where you can't really live in a commercial world authentically, and you sort of start to recluse a little bit from your achievements and from really what your vision is.
I know at the very end of the 10 years, you kind of were like, screw this, I'm going to be Nicole, this is who I am, this is what I do, what was that like? What was that feeling like?
It was an incredibly liberating feeling. It's sort of, you shed your skin. Yeah. And now I feel free in my mind, and, moving forward with my next ventures, I feel like, for me, a prerequisite is going into that with complete transparency. I'm at a point now in my life where I feel I don't need to hide behind preconceptions. And it's a disservice, I think, to the people around you and to the industry as well. You're sort of assuming that people won't be able to handle who you are, that people won't be able to handle the truth, and it shouldn't be that way. I think authenticity is a two-way street.
Thank you so much for coming in and having a chat with us today. If you want to see some more information on what Nicole's up to now, you can go to nicolekersh.com.au.
Thanks, Matt.
See you later.